everybody, and welcome to today's discussion. We're here at Drought Studios in Windhoek. My name is Mpho Kashwanga. I work for the British High Commission in Namibia. I lead on project management, climate change, and the economics. I have the pleasure of being joined by Dr Namu-Nkosi, who is the program manager at the Red Cross. Thank you very much, Doctor, for being here with us. I'm really looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you very much, Mpho, for having me.
Yes, and I think in that sense it's really a big compliment, the good work that the Red Cross has done and how everyone sort of almost universally knows about the work that you've done. I think sort of today we'll focus a lot more on how climate change has impacted the good humanitarian work that you do here in country, and I mean you can expand a bit more broadly given that it's such a global topic. So I guess if we can jump right into it, for those who are maybe not too familiar with the Red Cross, could you tell us a bit about the organization, especially its work here in Namibia?
Okay, first maybe I would like to give a short history of the Namibia Red Cross Society. That it was established by an Act of Parliament in 1991, and meaning that it is a Namibian organization.
Yes.
And also, also it was accepted by international bodies, yes, such as the International Federation of Red Cross and also the International Red Crescent and Red Cross and Red Crescent. Okay. These are international bodies that recognized the Namibia Red Cross Society right in 1993. Yes. So that tells you that the Namibia Red Cross is a member of the wider network, yeah, in the whole world. And also it's placed as the second respondent to any disasters in the country, because it plays an auxiliary role, yes, to government. So it is the second respondent to any disaster that occurs, right, in the country. Yeah. So in a nutshell, that's what Namibia Red Cross is all about. And also Namibia Red Cross Society has got also several components. Of course, yeah. Or maybe I would call them departments that deal with health, disaster management, disaster risk management, and also livelihoods. Yes. And as well as the other cross-cutting issues. Apart from that, the Namibia Red Cross Society is also present in a total of 9 regions. Yeah, that's quite something. So yeah, and also we have quite, as you know, the strength of the Namibia Red Cross Society is in the volunteer network. Yes. So we have about plus minus 2,000 volunteers. Wow. In the whole country. Among them, of course, we have those that are active, but these are registered, yes, volunteers in all those 9 regions. Right. Yeah. All right. That's really something. And I remember looking at the map on your organization on your webpage, and I know a lot of the work is concentrated in the north of the country, and I guess that does mean that you have sort of responded to quite a few disasters, and in that sense, it also speaks to a lot of the topic that we're chatting about today, insofar as climate change is potentially the biggest threat, existential threat to humanity, and it has been for quite a while and will be for generations to come. And I think in that sense, it obviously has an impact in everything that we've done. I mean, it's changed my role completely, really having to focus a lot more on climate change and COP26, which is a huge conference that the UK is hosting to bring countries together, to bring scientists together, private sector together, to come together to find solutions that are sustainable and global, that really reach impact across the globe. So sort of if we bring it back down, I'd be really curious, how would you describe climate change to one of our audiences listening now? Well, in simple language, I would say climate change is the consistent change of the weather pattern, yes, such that it impacts on the livelihoods, yes, of the people. Yes. Exactly. And then those impacts come through maybe droughts, persistent droughts. You have floods, and also we have seen that even diseases are coming in because of because of climate change. Some of the diseases, parasites, are now especially waterborne areas. Yes. So, in a nutshell, this should be understood as what is climate change and how it impacts on our lives, on our livelihoods.
And I appreciate that definition, because sometimes people misunderstand the difference between weather and climate change. And I like how you said, climate change is over time. Yes. Weather can be measured in a day, in an hour, but climate change is really the pattern of what's happening in the atmosphere. As you mentioned, drought, rain, temperatures, over a longer period of time. And that's where you start to see these significant impacts. And sort of going to those impacts, with your work sort of responding to humanitarian crisis here, what has your experience been of the impacts of climate change here in country, especially to livelihoods, as you mentioned earlier? And in that sense, I guess, linked closely to disaster risk management.
Yes. Honestly, it has seriously impacted on quite, to a large extent, livelihoods of people. Crop farmers, livestock farmers. And when you talk about crop farming, which is agriculture sector, which is employing 90% of our population.
And such a big part of that are subsistence
farmers. Exactly,
so they
subsistence.
Survive.
Exactly. They live on that. They live on the land.
Exactly.
And if they cannot get anything out of it, then you can imagine how much suffering that persistent drought brings to the households. And it's because of these experiences of disasters, the impacts of these disasters, we as a humanitarian organization, we have been approached by quite a number of communities in all the regions that we operate.
Right.
And also based on also the assessments that have been done through line ministries, give you an indication of how much response, how much intervention we need to.
But I guess I really appreciate that kind of response, because it reflects the same spirit of COP26, which is that you have this government and NGO space that need to really work together, both from a policy development space, but even just the tangible impact that you have on the ground. Because I think we're all learning about how to incorporate what climate change means for the way we respond to people, how we support people, the role government should have. Even the UK, we've had to really reflect in terms of how to prioritize it. And it's interesting, Minister Boris Johnson recently sort of had a press conference, and he sort of revealed the UK's top international priorities. Climate change is number one. It is absolutely number one, simply because of how big of an impact it has. Every partner we work with will be affected, and that's what really changes things. In that sense, I guess it'd be interesting to hear sort of could you give us some stories of some projects that you've done, maybe specifically in the drought space, because that was quite a significant one. In terms of really responding to that, because we know part of climate change, as you said, is the increase in temperatures. That obviously means that sometimes you have less rain. Even when you do have rain, it's more sporadic. It's less easy to predict. Farmers can't plan accurately. And that just affects your complete food cycle. And in that sense, it affects food security.
Right. I will start with Kunene.
Please.
Kunene region is still the most affected region. And we, in the past year or so, we had a drought appeal, the support that we got through the FCDO, coming through the British High Commission, to support the cash distribution, and also the water rehabilitation. But because of the funds were not really adequate to cover the areas that we had actually identified. So we had identified two constituencies, which is Coricas constituency and Cesfontaine constituency. So now, because we were already established, we already had an office in Coricas constituency, and we had manpower. So we thought it was good for us to scale down and target Coricas constituency. And that's how we went in and identified beneficiaries through, of course, the existing structures of community leaders and also the regional councils, line ministries. And when these beneficiaries were identified, and then they could now get the support through our cash distribution project.
Yes.
Where we reached out to 1,205 beneficiaries. Each one was getting 750 Namibian dollar per month. That includes transport, which is 150. The rest is determined by the food basket.
Yeah.
So these families would get they got their 750s for 3 months.
Okay.
Just to support them in that period, right? And of course, the situation has not changed. Yeah. Even if we are pulling out, the situation has not changed yet. We are saying, look, okay, fine, we helped them, but the drought has continued.
Yes.
So they are still affected. But we are yet to assess, we are yet to go in and look at the lessons learned and see how much feedback we can get through this project. But otherwise, the impact it has had is great. The other one is the water point rehabilitation. Yeah. That one is now addressing the small-scale farmers, and to tell you, we have moved around and to visit some of these water points. Yes. The farmers, some of them have moved from their farming areas to go to the adjacent or nearby water points just to take their livestock there, which is far kilometers. And I suppose that's also them leaving sort of homes they've had for a really long time. Exactly. So we are busy with that project to try and rehabilitate some of those water points so that we can relieve the pressure on humans and as well as on their livestock. Yeah. And honestly, in that sense, I think what's amazing about your approach is that you have officers that are in the communities themselves. So, and I know, sort of having spoken to Flavia and some of the other colleagues, Anna, part of the benefit is the fact that you get to know people in the community. And even working for the High Commission and sort of development partners, the people who know best are always the people who live there. And the easiest thing you can do is just go ask them what is actually happening. And in that sense, I really appreciate that kind of approach. And I guess in the sense that you're responding to the concerns of water in this country. Namibia is one of the driest countries in the world, not just in sub-Saharan Africa. So I guess in that sense, sort of as we sort of come towards the end of our discussion, what do you see as like the vision for humanitarian aid in Namibia, given the impacts of climate change? Because things change so radically. And also given the fact that, Namibia doesn't emit many greenhouse gases. Namibia is not part of the problem. Namibia really is not a big emitter in any sense. But we are one of the most vulnerable countries. How do you see that dynamic working out? And sort of what is your vision and message that you send? Well, I think we need more partners to come in to support the Namibian Red Cross, because the need, the demand there outside in the communities is big. That it's overstretching our resources, it's overstretching our capacity, and really I would appeal to all partners out there to work with us, and so that we can do more in humanitarian interventions. Thank you, Doctor. I think that's exactly in line with the spirit of COP26. We want to bring people together who are passionate, energetic, and willing to put their resources towards a greater cause. And I think in this sense, really, is that livelihood element you've spoken about. It's the lives of Namibian people in this country and the lives of the global population, because we have a common thread. Thank you so much for all that guidance. And really, I wish the Red Cross a lot of good luck in the future. And in that sense, we will always be a phone call away. And I think into the general population, really, the Red Cross is an organization that has always had our trust. And I think here in Namibia, they have an excellent reputation as an organization that really helps the people directly. If you want to know more, please visit redcross.org.na. If you want to know more about COP26 and climate change, please visit ukcop26.org. Otherwise, it's been an absolute pleasure being with the doctor and in his company. Thanks again. And obviously, it's been great having sort of your time, and we hope to talk to you again in the future. Take care, be safe, and cheers for now.